This information is not intended as legal, health, or nutritional advice. It is provided for informational purposes only. The Natural Health Product Protection Association does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements, views, or opinions presented by guests or attendees. Help us help you. If NHPPA's work to protect your natural health product and practice freedom is important to you, please make a one-time or monthly donation by visiting nhppa.org/donate.
Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to attending. My name's Shawn Buckley. I work with the NHPPA, and we've got Dana and Jason here. For those of you who weren't on last month's call, Jason is new to the NHPPA, and he's helping us out with campaigns and technical stuff. And Dana is our social media wizard, or I shouldn't use the term wizard, I guess, but she's just a Mozart at this stuff. And Jason and Dana, I really appreciate working with you, and it's just an honor. So, and it's just a pleasure to have all of you join us. We like these calls because we get to have Q's and A's at the end and get a little feedback on what we're doing. We really take this seriously because people's lives depend on natural health products, and the NHPPA is really the only organization that can get the consumer involved. And then we're the best organization out there in letting you know what's going on and doing the analysis of different legal initiatives that Health Canada is undertaking and trying to take this really complex area and distilling it down. And we're really proud of that, and we really enjoy working with you. We enjoy the fact that you support us, and when we ask you to write a letter and make a call, many of you do, and that's what makes the difference. And so this has just been a fun journey, and I'm just sharing with you that we really appreciate it and look forward to working with you going forward. For those of you that support us financially, thank you for that also. We're a small team. We need to grow because we're not there yet. We're at the point where every MP understands this is probably the single most important issue, protecting access to natural health products. It's probably the single most important issue to Canadians, and MPs understand that. And yet Health Canada is still pressing ahead with their self-care framework, including cost recovery this year, that's where the train wreck's going to start. So, we need to grow our team. We need to double down. We need to come up with some other strategies, and we're doing that, but we need your support financially, so please continue to support us. Jason, if you can throw in the chat a link to our donate page. And many of you think of becoming monthly donors, even if it's a small amount. That helps us budget and makes it easy for you. So so on that happy note, Dana, perhaps I'll have you give us a campaign update.
Sounds good. Welcome, everybody. Jason, can I ask you to please pull up the slide that we want to share, and I'll go over some of our campaign update results. Perfect. Okay, so first up, we have our postcard campaign that we've been continuing with. To date, we have shipped 2.3 million postcards to health food stores and natural health clinics across the country, a pretty amazing number. These are then picked up by individuals and mailed to their MPs or other elected officials. Next, we have our campaign in support of Bill C-368. An additional 1,880 e-letters were sent just in February alone, bringing us to a total of over 750,000. We'll really be picking up speed with the Bill C-368 campaign again when the bill begins report stage and third reading, so stay tuned for that. Be sure you're subscribed to the email newsletter so you're first to know when that is back in action. Next, we have a newer campaign targeting Health Canada bureaucrats. This is because unelected bureaucrats at Health Canada are driving the overregulation of natural health products. This includes their plan to introduce the self-care framework and cost recovery, which will bring pharmaceutical-style regulations into the natural health industry. Nearly 11,000 e-letters have been sent to just a handful of bureaucrats at Health Canada, so they're definitely receiving massive amounts per person. Lastly, here, just a report on our Charter of Health Freedom petition signatures. We are currently a bit over 144,000, but not included on that slide is the new campaign we launched called My Health. Jason is one of the individuals who put a lot of work into this, so thank you, Jason. This campaign is all about collecting and sharing people's positive experiences with natural health products to really showcase why they're so valuable to everybody. And in the future, we plan on using some of these testimonials in our campaigns. So if you have a story to share, we would love to hear it. It's very easy for you to participate. Jason has pulled up the screen here where we have our My Health page. If you just scroll down a little bit, you're going to see these two forms. On the left, you can submit a written testimonial, or on the right, you can upload a video submission. You can record it live right there, or you can record it on your phone, your computer, and then upload it separately. So it's really easy for you to participate in this, and we really encourage you to. So while I have the floor, I think I will move into some of our social media highlights, if that is okay with you. So, social media, of course, offers a really good opportunity for us to put this issue in front of a lot of people. I did some math, and since NHPPA began focusing on social media, we have grown by about 1,200%, which is awesome. From less than 2,000 followers across all platforms to now more than 27,000. So that's very substantial. And it's really exciting. Of course, we want it to be way higher. The sky is the limit, and every single Canadian should really know about this, but we shouldn't gloss over that really exciting achievement. One thing I have noticed though is that not so many social media personalities or independent journalists on social media or creators have picked up on this topic yet. And there are a lot of these popular personalities that frequently talk about Canadian politics and issues pertaining to Canadians, but it really seems like this issue just isn't something that has made it to them yet. And as I said that, maybe some people have already popped into your head who you think they should be talking about this on their platforms. And I'd love if you could throw their names into the chat so I could check them out. And if you guys are ever scrolling on social media and you want to help us get noticed by more people, you can consider leaving comments and on other people's videos suggesting that they check us out. That could be very helpful in addition to all of the work that you guys are doing, liking and commenting on all of our stuff. So switching gears, I want to announce that we have launched 3 new social media platforms in French: Facebook, Instagram, and X. Jason is going to throw a link in the chat if you're interested in following us there. A lot of work has gone into this, so we're really excited for it to be up and running now. On another note, with the launch of our My Health campaign, I've been noticing more positive comments talking about the benefits of natural health products on our social media posts, more people sharing their own stories in the comments and expressing that this is an issue that really needs to be taken seriously, of course. And this has been really nice to see because, of course, some people can feel discouraged here and there. I've definitely seen that expressed as well. But I think personally, your outlook depends heavily on what you expose yourself to on a regular basis. And I like to expose myself to a lot of people and groups that are working hard to move us in the right direction. I happen to be working with one right now. And so I do have hope for the future of Canada. Call me an optimist. But we do need to have hope. However, there is also a quote I really like: hope is not a strategy. Having hope alone is not going to get the job done. We actually have to work hard and make some noise, which we are successfully doing. And it's what we're really trying to do and inspire others to do as well. So, with that, just thank you to all of you for everything you're doing to really tackle this important issue. You're all keeping me very optimistic. So, please continue. And then, Shawn, the floor is yours to talk about all of the important things you want to cover.
Right, but before I go there, so French social media, likely there aren't a whole bunch of people on this call that are bilingual, but if you know anyone who is, we need to start growing those. So we need anyone that can read French and participate in that so that they can then start liking it, get the algorithms going and grow that. And here's why we know it's important, and it was a big impetus for us to start ramping up our Quebec strategy, is remember when Bill 368, so it's the bill to move us back into therapeutic product category, that is this private members bill we've all been busily supporting. Well, when the amendments were being presented at the end, well, there was the amendments from the bloc that survived. And, we were able to flood every English-speaking member of that committee and get them to bend, but we didn't have the political clout with the bloc members because we don't have that presence in Quebec. And so it is of utmost importance, and it's a way you could participate. So, whether you can think of somebody now or it just comes, you run across French-speaking people that are on this issue, get them following us on those French social media channels. And, understanding, liking our posts and reposting and stuff like that, it helps us in the algorithms and it helps us get more exposure. And if you're not following us on the English social media channels, do it and repost and get it out there, and positive comments, all of that helps spread it out, and it's an easy way for you to participate. And so, please remember, we're in an information war, and this is how we get things going. So I'm supposed to talk about the current political climate, and I think I'm going to go in a couple of different directions. So I had, I'm just trying to think, my life's just been a blur lately. I think it was it's 2 or 3 weeks ago. I had the occasion to meet with Blaine Calkins, and, he was saying a couple of things, and I'm sorry I've been out of the news feed for a couple of days. No election's been called yet by Carney, right? That anyone's aware of? Okay. Well, and like I say, I've kind of been out of the feed. Well, there's a bind here because a budget has to be passed really quickly, it's likely within the next 7 or 8 days. So either an election needs to be called where, the Governor General can then step in and, fund things pending the election, or some type of compromise has to be made where some super quick budget bills passed, just keeping things going. And so, and I see somebody's posted they may call an election on March 17th. So just understand that that's a real possibility because of this, the Trudeau cabinet had left basically this budget process in limbo with Parliament being prorogued. So, so that's happening. And then also, I got an understanding from him that what we're doing is really resonating with MPs. So, and I just found that encouraging. I mean, MPs know who we are, they know who you are, and they understand this is important. We all know we're not there yet, right? We're still going ahead with the self-care framework. And so we're going to come up with other strategies, and even starting to target bureaucrats is a part of that. And we're going to expand that and work on that more. But I had an interesting conversation with a Alberta MLA, probably would have been about 10 days ago. But it was just a shocker to learn how impotent individual MLAs are. So these two people I spoke to were actually in caucus. And what caucus is so, you've got the government, the premier or prime minister is head of the government, and the premier or prime minister, depending whether you're federal or provincial, appoints a cabinet. And so the cabinet members run portfolios. So you have the health minister, you'll have the education minister and the like. So they're running the bureaucracy, and they're called the cabinet. And that tends to be where decisions are made. So now if you have an MP or an MLA that is a member of the governing party, but not in cabinet, you might think that, well, actually they have still a lot of say. They're in the governing party, and, clearly they all get together and make these decisions, so that if we send letters and have meetings and all of that, that's going to be meaningful. And what I'm learning is, no, they have almost no say at all. They'll have these caucus meetings where, maybe there's 2.5 hours set aside for, 60 of the, backbenchers to speak. And even if there's then a conversation on an issue, you have no time to raise anything. And and now why this is important is I'm thinking as I'm learning this, okay, we're targeting cabinet ministers. we're flooding the cabinet. Like, I already know we're going to be doing that. If that's where the decisions are made, my gosh, cabinet, you're going to be interacting with cabinet ministers more than you ever have before. So, that's instructive, right? So, and then, like I say, we have to be creating pressure on the bureaucrats. We're all going to get better at this. Another interesting thing that happened this week is, I don't know how most of you on this call are likely familiar with Del Bigtree. So he has a show called The High Wire. He's been out there for a long time, and literally just it's almost like he's been surrounded by enemies the whole time, just trying to beat him down, and he won't fall, and he keeps speaking, and he's just been roasted by the media. I remember I first met him. We were both speaking at, I think it was the Total Health Show in Toronto. And then in subsequent shows, he was banned because, this political pressure. So some of the big companies sponsoring the show said, we'll pull out if Del Bigtree speaks. Just awful things. And Jason and I had the opportunity of interviewing Del. And I mean, he's a hard guy to get time alone with. So we had a moment to interview him. And he shared with us some inside information, and I'm not going to spoil it. So, but it's not out there at all. We're going to break it, but it's some inside information on a dialogue that's going on, about drug licensing that could have wide ramifications in the U.S. and then it would reverberate here. And it was just fascinating. I think Jason will agree with me. It's going to start a conversation that we need to have. So that I'm not, it's kind of, can you keep a secret? I'd share it with you if you could keep a secret. So maybe I should share it. Can you keep a secret? Yeah, so can I. So we'll move on.
We've got yeses in chat.
Yeah. No, it was a joke, right? Can you keep a secret? So can I. So, okay. So you're going to have to wait, but hopefully you won't have to wait long. But, our efficient team will get that out in 2 or 3 months. I'm just kidding. It'll be shortly. But so I'll end there so we leave a whole bunch of time for questions. But this is an exciting time. We're finding it exciting internally because there's all this change happening. And I'm personally super optimistic. I think we're in for a real shaking on many fronts: political, economic, geopolitical. But that we're in a time of a revealing. And, if you stay the course, the other side could be really good if we're involved. So be involved. So I'll take questions. End on that happy note.
Well, funny enough, on the night you decided to leave the most time for questions, it is extraordinarily quiet in the chat, and I don't see a single question yet. So we'll give a few seconds, a few minutes, see if anybody has anything to throw in. But usually I prepare a couple of questions from social media. You already covered it. The biggest sentiment on social media right now is just how political changes in the U.S. are going to be affecting us here. And we can hope that it's going to be beneficial for us. And I'm really happy to hear that Del is optimistic because a lot of us look up to him a lot. One interesting thing you guys might find, our High Wire clips, Facebook will not let us share them. We post them on Facebook. They appear to be posted on Facebook, but they always get 0 views. And if you try to follow the link, it says that the post is unavailable. So censorship is always close on our tails.
Wow. Okay. So Dana, thanks for sharing that. So isn't that interesting? So if we share a clip from the High Wire, it gets 0 views. It doesn't get taken down. It gets 0 views from Facebook, which means their algorithms are hiding it completely from the public. So yeah, the amount of censorship is absolutely crazy, and it's why we need you if you do see something, if the algorithm lets it through, that you share it with your network, because it's very possible that it's invisible to your network. And, what's exciting is, it does make a difference. Like, you sharing does make a difference. And, sharing our emails makes a difference. Like, getting people to subscribe makes a difference. Like, we want, getting people participating makes a difference. But, understand that groups like us face a huge hurdle on things like social media. So imagine, we post something clipped from the high wire that's important for you to see, and you're prevented from seeing it. And so how do we get the message out? It's only by grassroots, just, okay, I understand I have to keep pushing this out. Fascinating. Thank you. Depressing, Dana, but fascinating. But, I've come to understand, just, it can be a real struggle, and there can be some big takedowns, where your channels are taken down for times and other issues. And it just seems sometimes that you're not getting anywhere, but, we are. And, I don't think we have big numbers on this call today, but it's still an important call. And, please get other people to participate in calls like this. Again, that's just part of the ripple. But everyone understands that we're in a time of shaking, that, we're in a time of revealing and things are changing. And, people are going to become very thirsty for the truth. They are going to become very thirsty for the truth. And this is the time. Like, some people have no idea about, how our drug model is really rigged to force us into novel chemicals that really aren't effective and are highly dangerous to the almost exclusion, where we're not even looking at other things that work, or, old orphan drugs that worked way better, like they're shunned and become not available. And most people are completely unaware that, that they'd have nothing to do with Health Canada and nothing to do with our health system, literally, if they understood that it's rigged deliberately, where the question, how do we get the best health outcomes, isn't even asked, let alone answered, because it's not what the focus is. And the focus is by design, and it has nothing to do with health. Well, we need to get people to understand that, so that they demand a legal structure for our health, where the actual goal is our health. Like, who knew, right? But people don't know that it's not, that Health Canada is not there to protect your health. They're not there to get good health outcomes. There's no legal obligation on them at all to get good health outcomes. Their legal obligation is to enforce the Food and Drug Act and regulations, which is not designed to get good health outcomes. So, yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm. On the topic of Health Canada, we did have a couple of questions roll in. One of them is, how independent is Health Canada, and how much control does the federal cabinet have over them?
Ooh, now that is a brilliant question. So let's answer that two ways. And I don't know if I can answer the question except give you my opinion. But I think that people we're wired to do what we think is in our best interests. So, some of us might claim things on our tax return to be expenses that otherwise, we might not want to be paying somebody else as expenses, but it's to our benefit. Like, we do things that are to our benefit, right? Bureaucracies grow, they don't shrink. You don't ever have the head leaders of a bureaucracy go, how do we shrink ourselves this year? How do we have less budget and, really focus on what's necessary? They always grow. Well, what is it? 80%? I don't know. It's most of Health Canada's budget comes from the fees that they charge the pharmaceutical companies. And this was a change that began in the 80s under the Mulroney administration, when they brought in what they call cost recovery. And the idea was, if we're going to regulate an industry like airlines, and that's costing the taxpayer money to regulate them, then, we should have the businesses making the money cover the expense of the bureaucracy. Well, the problem in the area of health then is now when you've got a organization called Health Canada that really is getting paid by the pharmaceutical company, by and large for, drug applications. Well, if they keep refusing these drug applications, then the companies are going to stop submitting them, and then they're going to be out of work. Like, it creates a classic conflict of interest. And so on criminal files where companies are charged and Health Canada has to give defense counsel like me their internal emails, or on access to information requests where people get emails, I have seen a pattern where the pharmaceutical companies are referred to as Health Canada's clients. That's the term they use. So within Health Canada internally, they refer to the pharmaceutical companies as their clients. And language matters. We serve our clients. I'm a lawyer, I serve my client. If I'm a hardware store, I serve my client. I want to do good for my client so that they keep doing business with me, because that's to my benefit. So I think we have a huge problem. There should be zero cost recovery in areas of health and public safety. Now, the next part of the question is how much sway does the cabinet have over Health Canada? And I would say very little. Like, in my 30 years of dealing with this, I have never seen a federal government, be it liberal or conservative, go against Health Canada in the area of regulation of natural health products. So, and the worst example is, before Harper got elected, we had seen the United States move natural health products into the food category. So they're not under this drug model that's creating all the mischief here. So you don't need government pre-approval in the United States, just like you didn't need government pre-approval here, but we're getting transitioned into this drug model in the early 2000s. And so I wrote a private members bill that became called Bill C-420, that then, I don't even remember if it was Reform or Alliance yet. It was either, I think they were the Alliance. So, Alliance MP James Lunny introduces it as a private members bill, and we get it into committee, and then elections called. So then I think we're still Alliance, and we have Colin Carey introduce it as a private members bill. It gets into committee again. Well, now we have another election call, and we have the Conservatives, and we have a new leader, Stephen Harper, and they have as part of their election platform, when we get elected, we're going to enact Bill C-420, move you into the food category like in the United States, will be harmonized. Do they do that when they're elected? No. In fact, they're the ones that introduced this Bill C-51, creating this therapeutic products category that we all rallied against and defeated the first time. We've now lost that years later, but we're still fighting it. So that experience led me to believe that no government, whether it's liberal or conservative, is strong enough to stand up to the Ministry of Health, that it's too powerful. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I just watch the actions, because words don't mean anything, and the actions are steady as she goes concerning what Health Canada wants in the regulation of natural health products. So I think the federal cabinet has very little influence, but with this narrative change, if the FDA loses moral credibility in how they've been regulating drugs, well, they will be losing that credibility while they're now starting to have openness and transparency on what they're doing. And they'll be in a crisis, the American people will be in a crisis in how they've managed us in the past, saying this has been an absolute train wreck, how dare you? And here we are, Health Canada, still steady as she goes, not even doing things in an open and transparent way and reevaluating what we've done. People could have zero confidence for just reason in Health Canada, and that's when the federal cabinet will have the authority, finally, to overrule Health Canada.
Okay, so another question we have here, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but just to confirm, will Blaine Culkin's bill, which is Bill C-368, resume when Parliament does? Some people are under the impression that the bill is going to die. Is that true?
Well, when Parliament resumes, it's steady, full steam ahead until an election's called. An election puts all of that on hold, and then all the bills that didn't get through Parliament, so, they die. So is there even going to be third reading if an election's called in the next few days? And then if an election isn't called, let's say some way of solving the budget crisis occurs, then yeah, it'll go for third reading, and if it passes third reading, off to the Senate. And then the question is, does it have time to get through the Senate before an election's called?
So, on a similar note, can MPs do anything right now without Parliament being in session?
Yeah, so all of the MPs can gather on Parliament Hill and start a hunger strike where they committed to die until we have health freedom in Canada and we're protecting our children. So I'm publicly calling on all MPs to do that because nothing is more important. No, what are they supposed to do? Parliament's, not sitting. But actually, I like the hunger strike idea, and I'm publicly calling on all MPs to gather on Parliament Hill and have a hunger strike until we have health freedom for our children.
I think a lot of people would stand behind you on that.
I think the MPs would find for the first time in their careers that Canadians are passionately supporting what they're doing. It's a win-win.
Yep, absolutely. So somebody had a question / also like an idea. How can we make this an election issue?
Oh, no, that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
So, and certainly we'll assist you with that. If an election's called, really, we need in every riding, groups of people to organize and be putting pressure on all of the candidates, making it an issue during the election. Like the party platforms will already be crystallized by then. But, it is a pressure point, and it is taken seriously during campaigning. What is it that people are being questioned about? We don't want anyone elected without understanding that this was a vote issue. But the problem is in many ways it isn't. Like, some people will not vote for the Liberals, for example, just because of the leader and the past several years, but the Liberals won't, but even if they're saying, oh no, actually, we're adding the Charter of Health Freedom to our platform. But it's super important for every MP that is elected to understand that it's an issue, because there's always a turnover. So all the MPs right now, they understand this is a big issue. Well, what if half of them show up and they don't have this background and they don't know this is important to us? Well, we need to start educating them before they get there. So it's really important, and we will work with you in figuring out how to best do this, how to make it rational, how to maybe put a bunch of you together, because if you have communities, like, it's hard to go to, a debate and you be the only one to go ask a question. But, if there's 5 or 6 of you in your group, it becomes much easier, right? So, great question.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of all of the questions that people have submitted. I just want to thank everybody for being here and participating in all of our campaigns and being active on our social media platforms. And Shawn, if you have any closing words, I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Dana. And thanks, everyone, for joining the call. I like the questions, I like the feedback, and I really enjoy the opportunity to kind of just give you an update of what's coming down. And on this, My Health campaign, if you haven't submitted a story, and many of you are actually more than happy to share a written story. It's a much, much, much smaller percentage that is willing to share a video story. And I don't know if it's just, like all of us feel no picture of us looks good or anything like that. But, the reality is is if I turned my camera off and just used my voice, or better, just actually used chat. So I would type out what I wanted to say in chat and you would read it. It doesn't have the force that a video does with the emotions and expressions and all of that. So, and we're wanting to use these videos and writing, and we make it very clear, like this is so that we can get other Canadians to understand, you know, this is important because it helps me. Like, and here's how it helps me. And we want politicians to understand this is important because it helps me. And we want bureaucrats to understand this is important because it helps me. And in some cases, I mean, your story, it's clear. Like do I suffer terribly or do I actually have a reasonable life? Like this is important. And that's why you guys are on this call, because this is important. We know a lot of people don't understand it's important. And so here again, we're in an information war. Please consider, even if you've submitted us a written one, you know, please consider doing a video. Now, Jason and Dana, I don't know the answer to this. If somebody does a video and they think it sucks, can they delete it? Like, is there a way of previewing it?
You can start over at any time and it'll just send the last one in. You get a chance to watch it and approve it, and you can just go until you're happy. If you're not happy, just go again.
So there you go. You see, because I would hate, it's kind of like you're leaving a phone message and it's a dud and you're stuck. Except now we have the technology on a lot of cases. So you can keep trying till you're happy with it. And so I think that's important to know, right? Because you get down that road, you do a video and, oh no, you know,
and
this is terrible. And now, you know, it's locked in. And surely to goodness, even if you submitted it and you didn't like it and you asked us, hey, pull it, surely to goodness we'll say no. No, I'm just kidding. Of course we'd say yes, right? So,
as Dana pointed out as well, you can do it. You can grab your phone and spend all day. You can do your makeup. You can get your studio lights up and just spend all day getting perfect 30 seconds. And there's a button to just simply upload the video file yourself. If you don't have to use the inboard one, just to be clear.
Yeah. So just, you know, I get that that's a big ask because it's easy to just have writing and it's much more anonymous, but it's also weaker. So I'm just saying, please consider it. We're in an information war. You get as many tries as you want. So, you know, and so for those of you that have submitted video, thank you. And yeah, and if you haven't even given us written stories, wow, like this it's resonating because it's a different approach. It's just truthful, positive information. And it's such an important message for us to carry. So really appreciate those who have participated and just encouraging more of you to do so. So I think we'll end there. Thank you very much for participating. I look forward to the next call, and bring a friend on the next call.
Bye, everybody.